Going, man? It's good to see you again.
It's going well. I'm really tired. I think I'm on the verge of getting the flu or something. Uh,
Oh man.
got myself a little like cold and flu drink, but just
Yeah.
as I'm about to go back to work, I
Oh
get
man.
it's
Hey,
always
classic hat look. Classic you have your mug there.
yeah. No, I mean there's not much going on with it in the evening, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
no, it's
anytime
not a British person without a mug in hand, is it?
you drinking tea or is it coffee or
No, it's cold and flu medicine. You know
Oh
that
wow.
powdered cold and flu stuff. I don't know if
Oh,
you have
okay.
it, no, but yeah.
I got you. Well, man, thank you so much for doing this. This is like an awesome experience for me. I'm gonna start off right off the bat, just kind of, you know, giving like just hyping you up because like you're very unique in that there's two things about you. One, you're an artist, but two, you do reviews and you do interviews. So it's
Yeah.
like you're a two-man band, like you have your own little band, but it's just all you. You're doing so many things. I have a list of questions here, a few questions that I had written down. If you see me looking this way, it's because I'm looking at them. It's not because I'm not listening to you. Uh, the first big question, and I feel like it's the obvious one, is that how does it feel to be on the other end now of this interview?
I was literally about to say this feels so weird and not right, but I've I mean I've been doing interviews and stuff for just over a year, and I was uncomfortable doing interviews.
Yeah,
So every single interview I've done so far, I felt really uncomfortable doing it. It doesn't feel natural. Um, and even on this side, it doesn't feel that natural. I like talking about myself, but I also don't at the same time.
yeah,
I There's part of me that's like really excited to talk about my stuff. And I was even before this interview, I was like thinking about all the things that I'd feel excited about telling you. And then there was another part of me that was like, am I interesting enough? Who wants to
yeah.
listen to me um, talk about things? But at the same time, having a year's experience of listening to other people's music and giving comments on their music has made me feel a little bit better
Yeah.
about. I have some sort of knowledge. Someone wants out there wants to listen to me at least a little bit. But yeah, it's weird on the other side.
I'll answer that for you. Yes, there are people, and you released a couple singles leading up to the EP, and excuse me if I accidentally call it album, because in my mind it's like an album, but
Same
your
thing.
E your EP, I listened to it a few times since you released it on Friday. I listened to it once on Friday, once
Yeah,
on Saturday, and then a couple times today
yeah.
in preparation for this, interview. And I have to say, I enjoyed it a lot. And I have to say
Thanks.
another thing. Thank you for making it so short. It's like 13 minutes and change.
Yeah,
Um,
I can't seem to write anything long these days. I think it's time.
yeah, it's very quick, very easy to listen to. I so just getting that out of the way, I had another question I had for you, and it's kind of music related, but I was curious because you're from the other side of the pond, as they
Yeah.
say, right? What was growing up like for you, as a kid going into a teenager? What was that like for you?
Um, I'd have to say it was quite comfortable. I had a father and a mother who were both teachers, and I grew up sort of with them. And I think the fact that they were teachers, they seemed to have, I'd say, a good grasp on how to raise their children, how to, let them know what's happening and stuff. So yeah, I grew up with them. It's kind of upper middle class. My dad was a head teacher, so nothing really that dramatic as a child. I was very lucky. I was given access to a lot of things, guitar lessons, mainly being the biggest thing in my childhood that
Yeah.
has an impact on today. Um, and then I think harder times came when I moved to secondary school. Towards the end of secondary school, we had to move because of my dad's job. He moved from a teacher to a deputy head, which I guess is like a vice principal
A
and then a
vice
principal.
principal
So
here.
yeah, so eventually he became a principal or head teacher, as we call it over here.
Yeah.
And I had to attend the school that my dad was the head teacher at. So those were some challenging times. That was quite difficult
Wow.
to make friends in that space. Um, and that was only for like 2 years, so it wasn't too dramatic. And
Yeah.
then I got on my grades, and I ended up going to university, and I did a 3-year course in music technology. I didn't get the grades I needed to originally do what I was going to do, which was, I think it was psychology or business in another university, but I didn't get the grades I needed. My dad really wanted me to do that. He wasn't
Yeah.
too into the music stuff. I played a lot of metal stuff. He thought I was very troubled kid because I'd just play a lot of heavy metal. He thought it was like music of the devil and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So he was like, why don't you go and do um, logistics instead of music technology? I was like, Dad, I'm not gonna be happy if I do logistics. That's the transporting of trucks from one place to another.
Yeah.
Did not have an interest in that. So I was like, right, I want to go to university and I want to do something I want to do. So I did music technology for 3 years. I really enjoyed that. Learned a lot about production and mixing. I wouldn't say I'm still not very good at it, but I learned enough to get a 2-1, which is a really good pass. I don't know what you call it in America, but yeah,
But
a good
but
pass.
it's a passing grade over there. That's what it
Yeah.
is.
So
I
so my childhood was very lucky. I was very blessed. I had a loving family and things like that. My family did split and divorce after I'd been at uni. That was a whole other thing, but that happened so late in my life that it hasn't, I don't think it's affected me as much as it might have done as a child. But yeah.
you know, it's that's one of the other questions I was going to ask you. And you kind of answered it briefly here, because it seems like, um, when we talked the last time in your interview, or when you were interviewing me, you talked about how like you just decided, I'm gonna do this. You did your channel and all that. And I've especially after listening to this, it shows that you have this sort of talent when it comes to like producing and mixing and editing. I was like, wow,
I'm glad you
I
think that.
yeah, I no, like, and it really shows, especially with this one. And I kind of wanted it to be like a full length album. It gave me what I needed. I was appreciative of it, but like it made me want more. And I think that's what an EP is supposed to do. So in terms
Yeah.
of whether you think you did a good job or not, mixing, producing, I think you did well.
Oh, thanks.
Another thing I want to say after you telling me that about, your parents and all that, kudos to them, because I think, I don't know how it is over there, but over here, I think teachers are very underappreciated, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
Same story.
is it's the same over there?
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um, I don't. I mean, I don't know too much about America, but hearing the news stories about schools in America, um, I can imagine there's a lot of fear coming from teachers themselves within the job,
yeah,
which I don't think we have over here. So we are quite lucky to not have that, but there is still a massive level of disrespect from everywhere: children, parents, government recently, who've only just agreed to give teachers a pay rise. Um,
wow,
there's a cost of living crisis, and I know it's not just in England, but um, we were severely behind in pay as teachers, and yeah, so there always has been, I feel like, this stigma with teachers, but I feel like it's been growing. Yeah, so they've been they
yeah.
done it for so many years, my parents. So hats off to them. I don't know how they did it for so long.
Yeah, man. Thank you to them. I hope they know, especially me. I've done some teaching myself and I know how it is. So,
Yeah.
um, you know, very appreciative of that. Um, so in terms of this EP, I know in your community tab on your YouTube channel, you kind of went over what was the inspiration. As soon
Yeah.
as I started reading it, I stopped myself
Okay.
because I didn't want to know. I wanted
Yeah.
it to hear it from you. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
wanted it to be fresh. So what was the inspiration behind this EP?
Well, the only main struggles I've had in my life have been more recently to do with I'd say there's been a build up of things. So first of all, becoming a parent, then COVID, and trying to deal with that at the same time. So we had a child in 2020. That was quite difficult. Had a real knock on my mental health. I'm also a teacher, so um, I was really worried about all of that. Um, and I began to think quite existentially about everything that was going on in the world. COVID,
Yeah,
Russia, you name it. Lots of stuff was on my mind. And the start of this year was when I started to feel like I'd come out of it all. I'd come out of it all. I felt happy. I felt like I could face things by myself without the need of any help, without any medication. I felt more me again. I had a control over me. So the shadow of my former self is basically the phrase usually is that person's a shadow of their former self. When you talk
yeah.
about someone, you say that, oh, they're no way what they used to be. But I kind of flipped it in this because I'm so clever and artistically flip. No, yeah, basically just saying that that past version of me, their shadow's like their worries. Like even that past
Yeah,
version of me, I'm talking about their worries that the past version of me had. So it's that shadow that was over me in the past. So this EP is sort of an ode to what I was feeling back then. So it starts
yeah,
with a song called The Shadow of My Former Self, which starts with, I'd say it's quite a Catholic kind of metaphor,
yeah,
because it starts with about saving us from a storm, um, which is talking about Jesus when he was on the boat with the disciples, and his disciples were saying, why won't you save us from this storm? I'm not very Catholic or anything myself, but I grew up Catholic, and it's a
yeah,
story I knew. So the point of view from me was me kind of lamenting to God, like, why are you letting all this horrible stuff happen and aren't saving us? Just like in that, it wasn't a parable, but in that Bible story, there was disciples that were complaining to Jesus that he wasn't stopping the storm. And then Jesus got up and he stopped it at the end. But this is more like, why isn't something coming in to now put a stop to this? And I think I realize now that there's always this stuff going on. If it's not one thing, it'll be the next thing. It'll be
yeah,
it's always going on. And it's stuff that I can't control. And I think I felt a bit like that little guy in the boat who was like, who had the solution to the problem over there, but they weren't doing anything.
yeah,
So it's kind of like a bit of a lamentation to God of like, why are you stopping stuff? And then Circles, which is the next one, is it features my brother's band. He's in a pop punk band called Times Too Fast, and we've done quite
yeah.
a bit of stuff recently together.
I was about to ask who was that, the X Too Fast.
Yeah, because they're in
Yeah,
it twice actually. Obviously it's my brother, so he comes over a lot. So I thought I'll do a feature with them, and then I might also use one of their tracks and create a new version of it. Um, so Circles is just about how life is so repetitive, monotonous, and everything feels like it's just going round and round. So it's quite a basic metaphor, but it's something in the past I felt like
yeah,
nothing was new. And I think you can especially think of that when it was in like lockdown, for example, how every day was like the same. Um, so yeah, and it can be applied to anything, even in a job you don't like, or you're just in this rut. So it's about being stuck in a rut. And
yeah,
then and then it moves on to So What, which is a really short track. It's 2 minutes 16. It was inspired by Post Malone uh, his recent stuff I've been listening to. Wasn't really a fan before, but I really liked his recent stuff. It's more acoustic. Um, and So What is just basically like a song that says, what's the point? You know,
Yeah.
all this stuff you're doing, so what? What's the point? But then it ends with a kind of like the getting through things is through verbal therapy. So talking to people. So it's just a message of, you know, try and talk to each other. Um, then it moves on to Cling To, which was one I actually was doubting about putting into the EP. And it changed a lot from when I first started it. But the message is, even though all of these kind of bad things are happening, maybe your partner's having rows with you, bringing you down.
Yeah.
You know, the normal family stuff you go through day to day, and you know, you feel like, oh, I've had a row with this person. You know, this is awful. Nothing's good and everything. But the message I like to do like what they called opposites. So then in the chorus, it's like, but you're the one I cling to. You're the one that I need. So that's a nice sentiment, really, for my partner. That even though all this bad stuff's happening, I cling to you.
I enjoyed it. It reminded me of that song Aeroplanes.
Yeah.
Um,
In fact, I was like, that's another reason why I was wondering about putting it in, because it's pirates, skulls and bones, sticks and stones.
yeah.
And I only realized after I'd made it, and I went, oh no, that's where that's from. Oh God.
No, it
So
was good. It
it
was it
is.
was a it was a fun little track, you know. I yeah, I was like, oh dang, this it yeah, it brought me back because I hadn't heard that song in a while, and I was like, oh
Yeah.
wow. And as I finished this Clean 2, um, I was like, man, I put it again. Like I wanted to listen to it again. So
Oh, cool.
yeah, that one was a good one. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Oh,
Um,
I'm glad you liked it. If I ever get them knocking on my door saying they want royalties, then I don't know, I'll give them a £10 note or something. That should be
yeah.
enough. Depends if I ever get big, I don't know. And then Alone in the Darkness is a times too fast song. My brother's song about recently getting out of a relationship and feeling
Mhm.
alone in the dark, not knowing where to go. And I just made a chilled version of that, kind
Yeah.
of like in a sort of promoting them, you know, scratch your back kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then The Hole is the last track, and that's only under 2 minutes. And it was an old project I found that I about 6 years ago I left. And you know, when you're just looking back through all your projects and you find something,
Yeah.
you go, oh, I'll just work on that again. Um, and ended up being a song that was about when you'd fallen out with someone, or you've done something wrong with someone, you retreat to this hole. And in this hole, it's kind of like you're saying to yourself, right, I'm never going to try doing that again. I'm never going to do that again. And the more things that go wrong in your life, the more you stay in this hole and don't really come out to try new things. So The Hole was about retreating to this place of, I'm just going to stay within myself and not talk
Yeah.
about my problems. Um, so that's where I said, I guess I'll retreat to the hole. Is just basically me saying, like, I've tried to do all these things with you, and every time I'm getting told off, or this might happen, this might happen, I retreat to
Yeah.
this hole. And that's what I was like before this year, really. With any problem, I just keep it in with myself and never really say it out loud, which became an issue.
And it's so it's very poetic just hearing you talk about this album, you know? Like yeah, it shows how much you put into it just by what you're saying about it, you know. It seems, you know, at least from my perspective, coming like me making music myself, it
Mm.
seems like it's something that's been on your mind, you know, and you just thinking about it, and then
Yeah.
slowly but surely you just putting it out into the world, you know.
Yeah.
That at least that's my, you know, perspective of
No,
it.
I think you've got it. And even looking back through quite a few of my past projects, they also have this kind of interlinking theme of existential worry, or you know, worries about things that are on my mind, not
Yeah,
necessarily love or like the smaller things in life, but more just bigger topics. And then there's other songs that just don't make sense. I think it's quite hard to be a fan of my stuff because each EP and album is very different to the last one. Um, but I get bored very easily. So I'm like, oh, next one I'm going to try and do a funk thing, or the next time,
Yeah.
that is me. So as an artist, I'm terrible to try and like get a grasp of.
I mean, it keeps things interesting, you know. And you said it about my stuff during the interview, that if there's not one thing that you like, you know, just wait a little while. There's
Mm.
something gonna come around the corner, and the same I can say for your stuff as well. Because if there's something that you may not like, or you're not really a fan of that kind of specific genre or sound,
Yeah,
if you wait another track or two, there's going to be something that that you enjoy. You
yeah.
know,
I
um,
think that's the yeah. I'd say if you don't like this EP, wait till the next one because it will be lounge pop. I have no idea what it'll be.
yeah,
It'll be acoustic. It'll be whatever. So yeah, I have so many ideas I want to do. It's whether they come to fruition. We'll see.
and yet I'm sure, and this is based off of all the stuff that I've listened to here. Even though they sound different, it still has your DNA in it. You know, it's like I can
That's
see,
good.
okay, this is his, this is him. You know,
Mm,
although they're very different genres, it still has your stamp on it.
that's
Um,
good.
I don't know how these usually work. You know, it was from 3 to 3:30. The last thing I'd want is to it to just cut off. Do you know how these things, you know, will it immediately just cut off? Do you know?
Oh, the Zoom meetings. Yeah, I think they
Yeah.
have like a 30, 40 minute timer and then
Okay.
they do. But if we keep it under that, we'll be okay.
Okay. Because I had just a couple more questions. I wanted to ask, what is your favorite track on the EP, and which one would you want more people to listen to?
Ooh. Well, my favorite is actually the intro track, Shadow of My Full Self. It's only a minute and 12 seconds, and
Yeah.
it's it's not exactly difficult, but I just like the imagery. So that's what I like. In terms of one I'd like to get more people to listen to, I think The Whole, because I think that's my most personal one. Um,
Oh, got
yeah.
you. Okay.
But in
So
terms of most popular, maybe Circles or So What, but they
yeah.
could just be popular because I released them as singles. No idea.
So the three that stood out to me at least were, of course, So What? You know, and you know my feelings towards that. I think I made a video on it. I really enjoyed that one. I
Yeah.
still listen to. That's the one I listen to the most. Of course, Cling To. You know, that was a fun one. And
Mm,
then The Shadow of My Former Self. Although very
nice.
brief, I thought it was just this wonderful introduction. You know,
Yeah.
just letting us into this world. Um, yeah, I and and I know my feelings towards circles. Back when I made that video, I've warmed up to it, and in this context of the EP, you know, I'm like, okay, I enjoyed it more. You
Okay.
know,
Yeah.
I
You
think
are
it
allowed
fits.
to dislike it, though. That's something I've learned reacting to a lot of music. You're allowed to dislike it. So if you
Yeah.
don't like it, that's cool.
Well, you know, that's what I appreciate about like whenever you interviewed me and you review my albums, is that I love it when people are just so honest, you know? And I
Mm,
feel like you like it whenever people are just upfront and honest about your work too, you know?
yeah. Yeah.
So, you know, that's what I'm like, you know, I wasn't really feeling it, you know. I've warmed up to it. It's still my least favorite track on
Yeah.
the EP. I can say
Yeah.
that, right?
Yeah.
But that's just my opinion. You know, some
Yeah.
people might love it. But that's what I appreciate about you as an artist, but also as a interviewer, you know, as a critic, you know. I love like and that's the thing. This could easily be a two-parter, you know, this interview. Part one, you know, you as the artist, and then part two, you as the interview, you know, like
Yeah.
you like as the critic. Um, so yeah, I mean, I appreciate your honesty, and it shows in the work too. I don't know. I don't know how to explain it, but it just shows how like, especially with this EP and the last one that you put out, that you were very vulnerable. You know, the last one was very like acousticy, you
Yeah,
know?
music for possibility, I think I called it. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, that was very
I
bare.
Yeah, I like that one too. I enjoyed it. If you had to pick one artist that has inspired you the most, what would it be? Like, who would it be?
Ooh, um, probably there's an English sort of they used to be metalcore and electroniccore band called Enter Shikari. Now they're more
Oh
kind
wow.
of pop electronic. They've always tried to break the states, but there's something about them that just doesn't gel in the United States compared to other countries, which is really interesting about them. But they're a big inspiration because one, the lyricist talks about very big issues, political issues. I've always loved political music, like System of a Down, Rage Against the Machine,
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. Um, and every single project they do is different and unique, and it makes the fans go, "Oh, I don't like it," and then after a few listens, they go, "Oh, I like it now." So they're always that kind of that
Yeah.
band that are pushing their boundaries forward. So they are my favorite band and have always been my favorite band. But if you go through any of my projects, tends to be my projects have been influenced by some artist that I'm listening to at the time. So Music for Possibility was inspired by a folk artist called Ben Howard. And I have a song
Yeah.
called Bone Apple Tea, which is inspired by a band called King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. So it's
Yeah.
whoever's inspired me at the time, I try and make a little album to kind of like say this is my ode to you guys. So Shadow of My Former Self is probably an ode to Post Malone's latest album more than
Post
anything.
Malone's.
Yeah.
Which I think I think it's his best one, if I'm being
Mm,
honest. It seems like it's his most raw, you know.
yeah.
I felt like he was just like stripping everything aside, you know, and
Yeah.
just being like, this is my true self, you know, this is who I am.
Yeah. And I think that's
Yeah,
why
very
I love that album so much. His older stuff's okay, but it is very heavy on the trap side. I do like a
yeah.
bit, but not too much. So yeah, yeah, definitely an inspiration. But Enter Shikari overall would be my biggest inspiration.
I'll have to look them up. I had never heard of them, so I'll look them up. What do you have in the works now, like in terms of not just, you know, it could be musically or it could be, you know, through the critic side of things, you know, because I see you're always posting up stuff and I love it. And especially that new segment that y'all have, the tournament one,
Oh, the tour. Yeah, we did that last
it
week, me and
was
my two friends.
awesome.
Yeah.
My buddy reached out and he was like, "You're on here, you're on here." I was like, "What?" I didn't even submit anything, you know?
I know they did you
Um,
dirty as well. I
yeah,
was like, this it's a shame because it was a lovely, really raw track that was posted. But the two of them went, it's not music. And I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna have to go with which was a fair
yeah,
comment.
no, yeah, for sure. I was just like, because I only put that up because so that person was someone that was close to me that passed away. So I
Yeah,
made that in honor of them, you know? So I just put it up that way. They can at least like her family could have that.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
Well, it was very
and
sweet. I did go and listen to it myself in full afterwards. It
yeah,
was a lovely track. I think also we probably didn't do it right for you because you submit that not knowing we'd put it into a tournament. That was just I had a bunch of submitted songs. I was like, we've got to get through these. I have no idea, got no time. So that's more on me probably.
no. I hope the next one. I'm assuming you are going to do that segment again.
Oh yeah, I
Uh,
think I like it.
it was a lot of fun, like a lot of
Yeah.
fun. I was just like, man, this is so much fun. See, I'm gonna submit another one there.
Yes.
So
Yes, do it. Do it.
yeah, I love that segment. I hope you do a lot more, of course, reviews. I
Yeah.
hope you do more interviews. It's yeah, man, it's a fun channel. Look, I'm gonna tell you this, and I feel like I don't know about you, but I feel like if you say something, um, it's gonna happen. You know, if you say like my channel is gonna grow, it's gonna grow. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I really do feel that within whether it be the next year, you're just gonna see your channel grow and grow and grow and grow.
I mean, I'm loving it at the moment. We've had a few videos that have kind of taken, got the ball rolling, but we
Yeah.
started reacting to more popular music in the hope that we'd get some subscribers to come and listen to the independent artists. So we're trying to balance both because I want to be faithful
Yes.
to all the independent artists that have put their stuff out and not just go for the famous stuff because it will get me views. But
Yeah.
I kind of want to balance both because then we get some people who've listened to a really famous song joining the channel and then they'll get a chance to listen to someone that is not being heard. And I feel that was a quite, good approach. But in terms of stuff that's in the pipeline, that's just constantly churning out. We're coming up with new ideas, but I'm still trying to work the field, what's working best still. I mean, I had the channel since YouTube started. So when's that? 2006. And only in the past 2 years did I start trying to do something important with it other than posting silly videos I did when I was 12.
Yeah.
And and um and I gave myself a target. I need to hit 1,000 by a year. And I didn't quite hit it. I got to like 968 or something, but a month after I did. So I'm doing a target of 2,000 this year. I'm just going to keep setting like a small step targets because I think if I set it too high, I'm just going to end up not enjoying myself. Things,
Yeah.
um, but it seems to be growing a little bit faster now. I passed 1,000, which is nice. Um, so yeah, in terms of the channel, we're going to keep doing the same things: interviews with people, reacting to independent music. That's not going to stop. In fact, I want to do more of it when my child starts going to like school and nursery more. I might have
Yeah.
a day where I can just do more. So we'll see. In terms of music is the one I'm now finding the hardest to have time for, and I think Shadow of my former self fell short because of that because I wanted to add more to it. I really did, but I
Yeah.
thought I didn't have the time. And it's just been sitting there. And I really want to start getting it out now because I put these two singles out and I said that I'd have an EP out. And I want to stick to that, for whoever's listening, whoever cares, they can listen to it. In terms of something else that's coming out in next month on the 1st of October, there is another EP coming out, which is
Nice.
called OK Stop, and it was recorded entirely while walking the length of Hadrian's Wall. Hadrian's Wall is the wall that divides England and Scotland. It's about
Yeah.
60 to 70 miles long. And me and two friends, we walked along that wall, and each day tried to make a song or do a cover of a song. So it's all
Yeah.
recorded using phones on that walk. So I'm not going to big it up as much as I did this one, but it's just a nice little thing that I'm going to put out there that if anyone's interested, they can listen to. There's a few intro jokes that probably won't make any sense to people, but I want it on there because you know what? It's a timestamp for me putting music on streaming services. That's my
Yeah.
timestamp for my life. And in the far future, I can look back and just smile. So that's what's coming out next month.
I'm gonna be the first one to listen to it. I'm super excited. It sounds interesting. Sounds like it's a concept little project.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Um,
I might
Final
do a little
question.
video with it to try and explain some of the context of some of the
Yeah,
tracks on there.
that would be
But we'll
great.
see.
That would be great. I would
Yeah.
I would appreciate that. That would be great. Final question I had, and this question is a big question because it
Oof.
tells me a lot about people. All
Yeah.
right. It's not related to music. Okay. What is your absolute favorite movie all time?
Oh, all time. Okay.
This will this will tell me a lot about you.
Oh, this is too big right now. This is too much of a. There's so many good films. Um, I guess it would have to be a film that I would always go back to, that I could watch again and again, still have a good time and enjoy it all the way through, start to finish. Oh, I was about to say Lord of the Rings,
Mhm.
but then my mind went to Star Wars.
Star Wars.
And then I was like, but which Star Wars? And I cannot choose a Star Wars. But I can't say the whole franchise. But you know
It has
what? I was probably the right age to really enjoy episode one,
episode
the one
one.
that people hate the most. I loved Jar Jar. I loved Darth Maul. I loved Little Orphan Annie. They were all the best.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's fun. I have to defend myself every time I say that I think that movie is a whole lot of fun.
Yeah.
And it has some of the best lightsaber battles in that
Yeah.
movie.
The Darth Maul battle
Um,
is just, I mean, it's the best battle. People
it's
still love Darth Maul. Out of the worst film, probably the best Sith guy, really, isn't he?
so good.
Yeah.
That's wow. I'm glad you said that one. It says a lot. I'm gonna write it down. You
Yeah.
know, this
Second
is
choice might have been Two Towers, Lord of the Rings.
Two
Two
Towers.
Towers is a good film, just because I love Ents. I mean, they're great. But yeah,
Well,
we've got 2 minutes left, haven't we? So you've got a channel going at the moment, which is
yes,
reviewing
yes.
movies. How's it going? Are
Uh,
you enjoying it?
I'm enjoying it. I love it. I'm trying to get, things rolling in terms of movie reviews, in terms of music reviews as
Yeah.
well. But yeah, I'm primarily on TikTok, but I'm trying to transition to YouTube as well. And I get pretty decent views on TikTok, some engagement. People
Yeah.
contact me there talking about we have little debates. But I'm trying to move to YouTube. So if with you, if people don't know where they can find your stuff, um, are you on Spotify? Where can they find you?
So it's 315, and you can find me on all streaming services. This sounds so weird and fake to do, but yeah. And if you want to find out more about the music B&B, that is where I do lots of independent artist reviews. So you can find me on there. I do have an Instagram. I have a Twitter, but I don't use it. It's just there. I have an X, sorry, but I don't use it. Also, I have a TikTok, which I rarely post on. So you can find me in a few places. Yeah.
Well, it's been an honor. Like, you have no idea. It's been a true honor.
Same,
It's been
same.
surreal being the one interviewing you, and I'm sure it's the same for you.
Yeah,
So thank you for your time. Thank you for doing this. I hope, and to engage with you more later down the road, and talk more with you. It's always a pleasure talking with you. Always
definitely same.
entertaining. We always have some very deep talks and some good laughs. So thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Take care.